Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Blue Podcast Network. This is the Red Show. I tried to make that one clever, didn't work. So we're just going to get into it. You have this week Lloyd to the right of me and Jamie to the left of me, and we are doing a top 10 this week from our lovely Match of the Day book you can see in the front of you.
Yep.
This week we are going with top 10 foreign imports.
Yep.
So we have a list of players.
Yeah, they're all
Got it
European.
here.
Yes. Have you got? Is that
Yeah, no, so I'll go through it in just a random order.
Random order.
So we have Patrick Vieira, Eric Cantona, Vincent Kompany, Eden Hazard, David Silva, Kante, Roy Keane, Ronaldo, Bergkamp, and Henry.
Cool.
That are the 10 players
So
we will be going through.
That's the short list as decided by the pundits from the book: Mika Richards, Alan Shearer,
I think
and
if we were to do it, we'd probably choose
Gary
a couple of different ones.
Yeah,
but
there's only one
I'm
name,
happy
I
with the
would
list.
say.
I think it just gives us a really
Yeah.
bad, it gives a bit
There's
rough.
going to be some.
It's rough.
People are
Yeah.
going to be annoyed, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
we do this list the way we want to.
Yeah.
So
Let's
I want
start
to
with number 10.
kick off with number 10.
Yeah.
I have just left my list open, but I don't care.
That's okay, I didn't look.
Okay, so
Have we written down 10?
Yeah, hang on. We're writing it in big, are we?
I'm writing it big.
I've got
right.
them down the side because otherwise
Okay,
I'll
that's
forget.
probably
Oh,
smart.
fair
I can
enough.
probably.
You know
I'll
what?
do
Yeah,
that.
I'll do the same.
And then we'll write the big in the middle.
10, 9,
I'll write 10
8.
first and then write the name afterwards. There we go.
Okay.
That might be
Cool. Everyone ready?
3, 2,
Oh,
1.
hang on.
I've gone
Oh.
for Vincent Kompany.
I've gone for Kante.
I went for Kante as well. It feels
Yep.
so wrong
It feels
to put him
awful.
so low.
It
Yeah,
feels-
the impact he had, the quality of that title with Leicester catapults him up my list. Vincent Kompany was consistent, a good captain, a good leader.
Yeah.
Won many and many a Premier League title with Man City. But I just think the way that other players carried their teams to certain achievements puts him. He had that wonder goal against Leicester.
That's the stand-up moment for me. That's why he's higher.
The standout
Yeah, that
moment.
broke me. That did.
That
That
yeah, true.
absolutely broke me.
I can imagine.
But I just think it's positional bias, I think. But it has to be that the attackers have more magical moments and have to be higher, in my opinion. I think that's why
Right.
I've put him as low as I have.
Yeah.
I think
But I think it's
longevity for me with Kompany in terms of he was just always a force in that Man City defence.
He's a solid player.
He was
Yeah.
consistent, which is
I
what you
think-
want in your defenders, in all fairness. But annoyingly, it doesn't make a very attractive.
I don't know if
Top
I'd ever
10.
put him as like one of the best centre halves in the world, but he was always a very
By far, I
solid,
wouldn't.
player.
Mm.
He was always a
Right.
very solid player, and yeah, to put N'Golo Kanté 10th is
Mm.
it feels really, really odd because it's just
He was so good.
for like a 3-year spell, he was absolutely
I think
He
it's
was,
exceptional.
by far the best midfielder.
But I just think after he went to Chelsea a couple of years later, when he got an injury, and then he was getting a bit more injury prone, he
Yeah.
was still decent, but you could see the levels had dropped off, and he
I
was
agree.
sort of
that kind of workhorse just stopped.
Yeah, it
I think-
wasn't as good, but he was still an exceptional footballer.
I think it was more longevity.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's brilliant.
He's a beautiful man. That is true, Lily. Yeah, that's I can say no. I think his career lasted longer than you think it did. I think it feels quite short, but I think it had a few more years than you think it did.
I just feel like in terms of his at his best, there was a 3-4 year span, but then past that, it was too many injuries, and of course now he's playing for Al Ittihad, I believe, in Saudi Arabia now. Yeah,
He's
I
doing
mean, I
really
just
well as well.
yeah, I
I'm
think
surprised.
it was the longevity thing for me. I've always thought he is a really, really good player, and he was. But then at times it's like, oh, he's smiling. So like, sometimes when he wasn't playing as well, he would sort of be like brushed off that he wasn't, just because he's such a
He was a
likable
great
character.
as well, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was a great
Yeah.
person.
So are we doing number 9?
Yeah, if we put number
next?
9 up, hopefully we are all going to put the same person.
I don't
3,
think we will.
2,
2, 1.
Oh my
I've
god!
got
That's
that.
interesting.
Right, hang on. We're going to come on to that in a second. Jesus.
That's interesting.
Kante goes 9th for me. Again,
Right.
it's a thing of like quality over because obviously Man City won a load of titles. Very dubious whether or not that was illegal or not.
Let's go find out soon.
I'd rather have won one Premier League the way that Leicester did than win all those titles with Man City.
I think anyone would.
Yeah, I prefer the Kante one 100%. That's why he's ninth for me.
Right.
And also he's a likeable person. I'd much rather put him there. But what?
Right, bigger for camera. Right.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Noted.
Why have you put Eden Hazard in ninth?
I've put him because, don't get me wrong, he's an incredible player.
I don't mind it. I have a
I
problem
just
think with some of the other names on the list, I think the main one for me is going to be Kompany. I think the thing with me is Kompany captained that Man City team for so long. I think what he did for Man City, don't get me wrong, I think Hazard did the same for Chelsea.
Yeah.
But I just think that I just find, I don't even know how to word it.
Word it because it's so difficult because all these players on this list are
that's
so
what
good.
I mean. I mean, there's not really anyone that I could really put. I just felt like Hazard in this just felt kind of right in the list that I'm, for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's not really any way of wording it.
I do think he is a bit low. I've got him a bit higher, but I need Mo Salah to stop being compared to a man who has 2 Champions League knockout goals. That needs to stop, for me, in my opinion. I'm very... Because I can imagine all the Chelsea fans at home will be like, no, Hazard's a better football player. I just think the output and the consistency from that man, you know, they always come up with, Hazard was compared to Messi and Ronaldo. Like Salah wasn't in the first season when he got like 60 goal contributions in a year. He is a very good player, Hazard, but yeah,
he never really
I don't mind.
He never really had that continental success.
No,
which I think he had the Europa League.
Yeah.
I think he had the Europa League final against Arsenal.
Yeah.
But in continentally, that's it.
Well, yeah. Because,
and
as I said,
and the Premier League.
He's got 2 knockout goals in the Champions League.
Also, I think the other thing was where the Premier League specifically, he didn't really have one season where he's gone and broken goal scoring records.
No, because he's never been that sort of player. But I still think he's his dribbling and his passing, absolutely amazing. And he's a good finisher. But yeah, for me personally, I think if you were to compare Hazard and Salah as footballers, as much as Hazard is a better dribbler and passer, Salah's still very good at that. Whilst I also think at times with Hazard, in terms of the output, there's a massive gap. And I mean, even defensively, like if you wanted someone defensively, for me personally, Salah is... He tracks back all the time. You didn't see that with Hazard. Hazard's an incredible player, but I just feel like now it's gotten to the stage where Salah's been so consistent over so many years of time at the highest level that he needs to be put in comparison as potentially the best ever winger in the Premier League. And I'm not saying that just as a Liverpool fan. I just think he wasn't even the top 30 Ballon d'Or this year.
That's crazy.
I mean, Henry's not very happy with what I'm saying.
How am I the voice of reason? How has this happened?
I do think that for as many games as Hazard had good, he went missing a lot.
Well, he went missing for a whole season, didn't he?
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons why I put other players.
He's an incredible
more consistent above him.
I'm not saying he's not an incredible player.
That's exactly what I mean. But I think for consistency, I can't.
I've still got him.
Tom's going to sack both of you.
It's our opinion.
That's what we're here for.
It's our opinion. He's a really good football player. But if I'm to choose somebody in my team, I'm picking Salah. I don't think that's a ridiculous thing to say.
I think there's other players that I'd pick over for work rate and for. You know, I think we'll get onto it.
Well, even statistically, technically, Salah's a better chance creator than Hazard. He creates more chances.
There's other names. There's another name even on the list that I would put almost as this player that I would. We'll get onto it.
Yeah, but he's an incredible player. Let's go
for 8.
Hang on, let me write it down because I've actually that has kind of taken me by storm. I was not expecting that.
But I've got Kompany 9th anyway. So we've pretty much just swapped.
Fair enough.
We have you went Kompany 9, so this is now 8th place.
Yeah,
8th.
Trying to write bigger, but again, my handwriting's
hang on.
Oh my god,
that's massive. Right, 3, 2, 1.
David Silva.
I've gone Kompany.
Okay,
nice.
It had to come.
I
got Silva.
As I said,
a great player, a great servant for Man City, and a great creator as well. I just think there are other players who stand out. Again, very consistent player. With magical moments, a lot more than Kompany did because he's a more forward player. But other players took the spotlight in the times that he was playing. Like, I'm thinking the Agueros, the De Bruynes, the Sterling. Oh, not Sterling, but there were other players who took the spotlight away from him. And he's very Bernardo Silva-esque in that he's a workhorse, a creative output, a brilliant footballer, very capable in every aspect of attack, but just not as, like, in the limelight, if you know what I mean.
I think that's the thing. The thing for
Magical
me is
moments.
because he wasn't in the limelight, he was just so bit like Yaya Toure, where he's so just consistent.
Yeah.
He's always there, always around,
and he never loses the ball.
exactly.
Never loses
but
the ball.
also once you could see once he left, once Aguero left, they could bring in another striker.
Mm-hmm.
Once he left, they were lucky they had De Bruyne to kind of fill
Yeah.
that gap. And even then, he hasn't even completely filled that gap that Silva had.
No.
Because the interchange from Silva being from out wide to centre mid to attacking mid to striker on the left, he could pretty much do everything.
Yeah.
I think that's I've got him up in 7th. I think just because of that kind of interchangeability, because of where he can play across everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who did? So you had.
So
him in
I put Company in 8th,
who, and then you had Silver in
and then I
7th.
put Silva in 7th.
So who did you have in 7th, Lloyd?
Oh. Right. Let's write this down.
Let's write down 7.
I don't think you're going to be very happy, but
You better not. Have.
Just going to show the camera there. I don't know which camera I'm showing.
in terms of longevity
Silva.
in the Premier League in comparison to the other 6 on the list, Eric Cantona's got to go 7th.
Ooh.
Okay. I went with Patrick Vieira. I went with Patrick Vieira.
Yeah, I've got Vieira higher.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it's that controversial. Again, very much similar aspect to Company, but just on another level, like captain, leader, legend, ball playing midfielder, like passing out for the back. A very amazing and legendary player for Arsenal. Again, you're talking when it comes to these kind of fine margins, it's these magical moments, and he has got them, but it's hard to put a DM it's very hard to put a DM above an attacker. Like I can kind of do it for Silva, but like there are some players in this list that we're going to come to
Well,
that are.
I mean, I based off the list what players would I pick first to have in an 11.
Exactly.
Regardless of the position. So for me, if they were at their best, not at their best. Let's say you need to pick a team for the next 10 years or something.
Yeah.
And based on how their career has gone, for me, that's why I put Cantona in 7th, which sounds ridiculous. I know.
But look at the list we've got.
Yeah,
We have to.
Exactly.
Someone's got to go somewhere.
It sounds
Exactly.
ridiculous, but the matter of the fact is, he wasn't in the Premier League for a ridiculously long amount of time. In comparison to the other 6 people on the list, he was still incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a really, really good player.
Yeah.
I agree on that.
He would do so much for Manchester United in terms of his goal scoring, but also just on the ball. Like his on the ball ability, very, very good.
Yeah.
But I just think with the other 6 on the list, they were in the league for a few more years, and he was really, really good. But for me, there's only one other person who's a fair bit higher up who wasn't as long in the league for as long, and that's Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah. I think the thing for me on that is I think one of the reasons you pointed out was why I put Hazard so low.
Yeah.
In terms of if I was picking a team now, based on how their career's gone, just looking at Premier League, I would take the likes of Silva over Hazard because of work ethic and also just the way he could interchange with everyone. Hazard was very much, if the ball wasn't played to his side or where he was, he'd be kind of frozen
he would
out.
be walking and he would.
Exactly. Whereas Silva would be everywhere creating chances. I think that's one of the main reasons for me it sticks out where, don't get me wrong, he's brilliant on the ball, but just off the ball, that's always something that bugs
Yeah, I
me.
mean,
I do get that, but
and
I
that's
think
what bugged me with it.
you look at Messi doesn't run. Messi is never.
No, but Messi's
Messi's
Messi.
But when he gets the ball,
the best output
when
in the
he
world.
gets the ball, magic happens, and I'd put Hazard in that same bracket.
I disagree. Not as much. I completely disagree.
Obviously, Messi is miles above Hazard.
I wish we had a Chelsea fan here as well. I wish we had Tom or Dan here to talk about this, because this would be brilliant.
I'm not.
I'm waiting to hear their reaction.
Yeah. Well,
I might not be here next week, lads.
Let me put it this way. I am not saying that Messi and Hazard are on the same level, but it's along the same lines. So it's Messi's like a better version of Hazard. Basically, it's like he picks up the ball and it's beautiful to watch. I think that needs to
Yeah,
be
but
factored into this.
it depends. It depends what type of player do you want. Do you want your player to be more aesthetically pleasing, but necessarily get less goals and assists, but just look better to watch, or do you want players who might look a little bit, not as good on the ball, let's say,
But
they are going to win you. They're going to win you more
That's
games,
what
which is
I mean.
what I would want. Which is why I would pick. I know Hazard he had plenty of moments for Chelsea where he'd go and win games, but if I wanted a consistent player on over a period of time, just step up in big games and do that for me, which is why I compared the Salah and the Hazard earlier on.
Yeah.
For me personally, the amount of time Salah has gone up against a big team, and let's say scored a goal at least or won a game, and he's had massive moments like that when we drew 2-2 at home against City, where he took it past like 3-4 players, and then which is why I think his dribbling ability is massively underrated as well.
I think that's the thing with me and Silva. I think Silva will take a game and create chances, not just score but assist as well. Whereas Hazard, as I said, if the ball's not played to him, he can go.
He can
go 80 minutes.
You're saying Silva's more involved, which is understandable because he's playing in a more
because
central
Hazard could
position.
go 80 minutes without doing anything.
Right.
Yes, ball comes to him, he scores. But the rest of the 80 minutes, 90 minutes of the game, he hasn't done anything.
He could dictate a game though, Hazard. It's definitely a lot of the time. I think he could. I think he's a very good player. I've still not put him in.
This is a very tough
list.
rough,
incredibly tough list.
So
well, let's move on to sixth. Yeah, I was going to say let's move into sixth place. I think we've gone for a similar thought.
Yeah, we've gone for the same thing.
Yeah, I think we've gone for the same thing. And here comes Hazard.
3, 2, 1.
Here comes Hazard.
Keane.
I've gone for Keane.
You've gone for Keane. That's so interesting.
I'm going for
Obviously,
two,
you said your piece on Hazard, so we'll leave that there now.
Well, incredible player, by the way. Incredible player.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in sixth place for you. I haven't come to him yet. We both gone for Keane.
Yeah.
Again, look, without him in that United team, it doesn't work. And I think DMs need to be put a bit of respect on their names, obviously. But
I think there's just another DM in this list that I would take over Keane.
Yeah,
I think I would take Vieira over Keane.
It was
For me.
I couldn't. It was difficult for me to split the two of them. I went kind of biased a little bit with my decision in the end because I feel like I have to be. But
also, I think because they're always up against each other.
Yeah.
The period of both of them they were both up against each other. They were both the main DMs of that Arsenal United team. And that was the dominance of Arsenal United.
Yeah.
So it had to be one of the two. You know what I mean?
think Keane ended up with more Premier League winners' medals, and I think that also has a factor, especially when it comes to DMs, where it's not always about flair and like enjoyable football. Although, you know me, I love a Brexit tackle.
Vieira was crazy.
I love someone who can snap legs. So, Keane and Vieira,
both of them, they did it to each other.
Exactly. Their battle was legendary.
Have you seen those clips of them just fighting in a tunnel, just full on brawling in the tunnel?
There's plenty of beauty in a snapping tackle, which is what these two could do often.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it was just one of these things where it's like I have to put the DMs in the middle. But let's move straight on to fifth place.
5th place? What's
5
going
place.
on? You anything? I've gone for Vieira.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
As I said, I think I just inch him over Keane.
Oh, Cantona.
But I do think he's still a very good player.
Yeah. Again, Cantar's come up for me. Again, longevity is the other guys kind of come above this for me. But again,
he's incredible.
What a beautiful footballer!
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Well, that arcing, the way the boot just kind of connected with the fan's chest. Oh,
yeah, true.
and he was a great goal scorer as well.
I think as I've got him in 7th, it is quite low. But I think if he had a few more seasons in the Premier League, he definitely would have been higher.
He could have been top 3, 100%.
Yeah, definitely would have been higher.
So now we move on to number 4.
Yeah, I mean, I had Roy Keane, 5th.
Roy Keane, yes, sorry.
That's all good, yeah. I mean, so you both had him in, was it 6th?
6th, yeah, so it's about
6th. Yeah, so pretty similar.
It's roughly between that. You can't really...
No, I wouldn't put him any...
So we're in 4 now, right?
We are in the top 4.
This is going to annoy at least one of you.
Oh, now just see what you've done. I'm not going to say anything, okay, that's fine.
And I know this is going to annoy you, but I think some of these players on this list are like another level. Wait. So I've gone with Burke.
I've gone with Cantona.
Nice.
You've had him quite high. I respect that.
I think I have him higher because
there's room because you put Hazard
but also I think the ball fell to his feet and he would score. Pretty much when the ball fell to him, it's a guaranteed goal.
Yeah, agreed.
And I've gone with Vieira.
Fair enough.
Okay, so that's been covered.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I just think there are other players in here that are another levels, like Ballon d'Or winners.
Right.
One of the most beautiful players to ever play in the Premier League. Like, Chelsea fans, especially Tom, put Eden Hazard as the greatest player to ever play in the Premier League. I don't agree with that.
Completely.
What?
I don't.
Greatest player to play in the Premier League,
Get out
Eden
of here.
Hazard.
Get
Yeah.
out. No.
Really?
I think that's what he said.
Can we
when
sing-
did
can we just ignore that? Can we-
Our
please?
greatest hit. He had
No.
him over gigs. I was like, it's one of these things where it's like, I don't agree with that, but he is at another level. Like,
Hazard.
yeah, 100%.
I'm not taking him over
Oh my
Bergkamp.
gosh, I've just
You take
realised.
him over Bergkamp. Oh, like, honestly, you
Yeah.
take him over Bergkamp.
Wow.
The control he had with
What
the
are
football
you on?
is ridiculous.
And you're saying Bergkamp didn't have the
no,
control?
no. Like, again, this is fine margins
Oh,
here.
I don't agree.
This is
I
fine
completely
margin.
disagree.
I would also say that, again, fine margins, both were incredible. I'd say that the Chelsea team that Hazard played with and won titles with was not as good
Oh,
as,
by far.
as the Arsenal team, personally.
Yeah.
By
And
far
I'd say
it
there are a
wasn't,
lot
though.
more like world-class players in that Arsenal team than there were. Not saying the Chelsea team was bad,
No, I,
because there were like
I
stars
agree.
in there. Like I'm thinking like Ramirez, like
No,
amazing player.
I agree.
But like I wouldn't put him on Vieira.
Don't forget
levels.
that Arsenal
Well,
team
no, of
with
course you
him.
wouldn't.
And
No,
Matic, I wouldn't put him
but
on.
also-
Who's the other midfielder for Arsenal in that team?
Perez was
Perez.
playing,
I wouldn't put him anywhere near.
Yeah, but I think the thing for
Um,
me is that invincible season at Arsenal, Bergkamp was key for
Oh,
that.
he's a pivotal. He's
And
a pivotal
yeah.
player.
Him and Henry were
so
key.
crucial.
And I think, yes, the midfield was world class. Yes, the defence. But if you didn't have him in the team, that wouldn't have happened.
Like, I don't know, maybe,
Because
I-
he was
maybe
incredible.
we've
I still
underrated
think Arsenal
rated
would have
Hazard
won
a
the
little
league
bit.
without Bergkamp. Bergkamp was pivotal, but if his output wasn't there,
Yeah.
one of Perez, Henry, Vieira, Lundberg, like
Maybe.
you think of the players in that team.
Yeah.
Not saying that Chelsea didn't have that, but like
Right.
it was like it
It's
was
like the same quality of that.
it was great
kind of player.
management to get a lot out of the players. Like
Yeah.
who was there? It wasn't Giroud. It was too early for Giroud, but it was like
Diego Costa.
Willian
Yeah.
and Diego Costa and Ramirez. Great players, but not world-class stars like that Arsenal
One
team
thing I
has.
would say, for me, between kind of Silva, Company, and Hazard,
Mm.
that is very interchangeable in terms of I could kind of happily place any of them between that
Yeah, okay.
bracket
Yeah,
of
yeah,
three.
yeah.
Just want to point that out. So we're on to number 3 now,
Number
right?
3.
Now, this is going to annoy some of my own fans, and this is going to annoy. This is going to. I don't know what this is going to do.
You've not put.
I've
Ronaldo
put
in
Ronaldo
third.
at 3.
I put Ronaldo in 3.
I've gone for Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah, that feels right. That feels about
Yeah,
right.
I think.
I can't believe you've got Hazard in the top 2
That
out
is
of
mate,
this list.
But he said it's
I
not one.
was
so,
tempted. This
He better
Ronaldo,
not be one.
Ronaldo and Hazard, it was close. It was probably like that. And Ronaldo is the one to win a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, exactly.
Ronaldo is the one to win a Ballon d'Or, which is massive. But again, a lot of the things that he achieved, he didn't achieve them at Man United. He won one Ballon d'Or. The remaining, what was it, 6 in the end?
I mean, he won one
Was it all
Ballon
at
d'Or.
Real
Isn't that
Madrid?
more than everyone on
He
this
won
list?
one Champions
Yeah.
League, and the rest of all won at Real Madrid.
But-
you forget how much of his
But
achievements
also,
were
you
Real Madrid.
forget when he came to Man United.
Yeah.
Ronaldo came. Don't get me wrong. I know I've got him at 3rd
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
But the issue for me is him over Hazard is
Yeah.
he came at like 17, 18 years old and continued to be brilliant throughout his tenure here.
Right.
Hazard came and was sometimes good, sometimes bad, depends on
He
the
had
day.
patches, but there was only really one season where he dropped off completely.
Ronaldo didn't have that though. Until he came back to the Premier League later on in his
Yeah.
career.
I-
When he first joined, Ronaldo did not have that where he had bad games.
I
He would
need
pretty
to-
much score an assist every game.
Well, he didn't start off as this amazing. The thing with Ronaldo is by the end he was a Ballon d'Or winner.
Well,
At
yeah.
the start he was great, but he was never consistent. It took him a while to get to that point.
I completely disagree with that.
He didn't start off as a world class finisher.
Well,
He
no,
was-
of course
he
not.
No,
was
it's not world
taught
class,
this.
but he started off by walking into that Man United team.
He
and
worked his
being
way
brilliant.
into it. But,
Yes.
but when he first got there, he was like second fiddle to Bruno Van Nistelrooy
Right.
and Rooney.
That's
Well,
the difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a
Exactly,
massive.
but also Hazard was
surprise.
brought in to be the starting player. That's the difference. Ronaldo was brought in as a youngster and made the position, whereas Hazard was brought in already as a world-class player at that
So
And
point.
it was world class.
So where's Salah on this list for you? If you
There
had to
is-
place him, no, if you had to place him.
Realistically,
Well,
Yeah,
these are-
right,
I'm
as of
interested.
now-
I'm interested.
yeah.
he has to be up there in the top 3, like around the top 3.
Right, okay.
You have to
I'm,
put him in
I'm,
there.
I'm glad
I
that it's
have to-
towards the top.
I
I'm
have
a bit
to-
worried you were going to
I'd
put
probably put him in 4th, to be fair. I'd probably change him for Cantona in 4th.
The only issue I have
Move
with
everyone
Salah,
down one.
the only slight issue is that he's only won 1 Premier League. That is the only.
Yeah, but then
blemish.
again-
No, but I completely disagree because he's in a period where Man City dominate because of money.
yeah,
So it's not about that. Look at his
It
return.
is a very impressive Premier League. I will give you that.
Right, but look
But
at his
I'd
return in
probably-
the Premier League. I've got to put him in 4th, for example. I'd take him out of Cantona only because I think his return has been so good.
yeah.
And some of the players he's like. Obviously, you've got a great team for now, but like it's like some of the players he's had to play with at the start
He's
of
been in
his
a shocking
Liverpool
team,
career. He's
yeah.
been in some shocking.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a terrible time. I mean, going forward, we were decent. I mean, defensively, we were, but
Yeah.
you know,
Firmino was a cult hero, but he was never
Yeah.
He's a player who clocked the best out.
yeah, I think he was. I think
front
that first
three,
first season when.
Who else? Henderson got the
Mane.
best out of. Mane was well.
That's what I mean, but I think that
Yeah, I
front
think
three of him and Mane.
Firmino at one point, I think it was the year when we lost the final to Real Madrid because of Carriers. That
Yeah.
year he was absolutely
He was incredible.
He was incredible that year, Firmino. I mean,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Mm.
Yes, towards the end of the career, like you said, Liverpool, yeah, was not world class. But there was a stage for a period, a year or two, where he was top level.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, his performance sort of went down as soon as the year that we won the league, he didn't get as many goals and assists, and from that point onwards, his output sort of dropped. But he's still an incredible
Cool.
player. I love him so much.
We're on to second.
Yeah.
Go with second, I've got Eden
I've got
Hazard.
Dennis Bergkamp. I think maybe the Dutch in me is coming out a bit,
Yeah.
but I just
he
Well,
was in.
I don't think that's bad. I've got Bergkamp third. That's not a bad thing.
I think, as I said, he was pivotal in that
Yeah.
invincible team, and what he would do on the ball was just incredible.
Mhm.
His link-up play, he was almost like he wasn't a striker, he wasn't a false 9, he wasn't really a 10. He would just play anywhere and
Yeah.
was just amazing.
And then finally, number 1. I think this is the only position where we all agree.
Just checking, you put Hazard in second, right?
Yeah, I
You
have, yeah,
flipping
yeah.
best to.
I don't think there's anybody who I think, whilst these guys are all very similar levels, Henry, like he had the winners, he had the longevity, and he had all the magical moments, the flair.
Well,
the
yeah, he's
tricks,
arguably got the
skills.
He's arguably got the best individual season out of any
Yeah.
player. in the
Yeah,
Premier League.
agreed.
I think by
You know,
far the best.
he's definitely-
player in the Premier League, I would-
definitely
I
up
wouldn't
there.
say by far, but I would say the best player in the Premier League history.
He's unbelievable.
think, but also,
I have to admit that.
Incredible
think
football player.
The fact that he came in that Arsenal team as a winger,
Yeah.
got moved to striker, didn't even want to be there,
Mm.
got told by Arsene Wenger, you make it your position or you don't play,
Mm-hmm.
and then look at what he did.
And then he made the position better than like,
It
anyone
literally
else.
became the best player ever in the league.
Yeah.
It was
that
it's,
is impressive.
it's a sign of great management from Arsene Wenger, to be fair.
Yeah, but I think that's why in the managers list I put him higher because he revolutionised that whole team.
Oh yeah.
And
And I
he was,
think-
yeah.
As I said, the reason Bergkamp and Henry are 1 and 2 is because I think without those two in that, you would never have that invincible
No.
team. I
Agreed.
think
It's
they
so-
made it.
It's so interesting our list because we've got some really similar stuff,
And completely
and
different,
then
yeah.
there's like one or two.
I've got
Yeah.
Hazard in 9th, he's got it in 2nd.
Yeah, there is.
I think Knife's a bit low.
Ninth is very low. I could swap
I can
Hazard
easily swap.
and Ronaldo, maybe. I don't know. It's
I
a
can
bit-
easily swap Silva and Hazard to put Silva in 9th and then Hazard in 7th, or like move everyone down one.
Yeah.
So I could put possibly Hazard in 7th, Company 9th, Silva in 8th. But even then, I don't think I'd put him higher than that.
Yeah.
No.
The highest I'd put him
I-
is maybe Keane at 6th, but that's I wouldn't
I
put
don't know
him
if
any
it's
higher.
if it's the kind of anti-bias in me. It's like I want to be careful not to put Ronaldo too high because again the longevity wasn't too good. But I could swap him and Ronaldo.
Won a Ballon
potentially.
d'Or. You know.
Yeah, but
That's the levels that he was at. He was the best player in the world at Manchester United.
and look how
Yeah.
young he was. I think that's the other thing. Look
Don't
how
get
young
me
he
wrong.
was.
I love Ronaldo and I love his time at United. It was magical. But you have to remember, people look back on how great. Like he's one of the top 2 players of all time.
Yes.
But he did that at Real Madrid.
Yeah, get a
you
lot
have
of it
to
around
accept
Madrid.
I do also think one thing that might come into play now as well is the fact that when he went back to United, it just wasn't as
Well, that's not his fault.
starred.
Well,
No,
yeah, no.
of course.
He still
But
managed
he
to
still
crush
scored
it.
a lot of
Yeah.
goals. Yeah, he was still brilliant.
That's what I'm
Still
saying.
the best player.
Both
Yeah.
his times in United, the second time didn't go to plan, but he was still United's best player by far.
Definitely.
That was
Cool.
Yeah.
So that was our top 10 of foreign imports into the Premier League. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave your thoughts on our lists down below and what decisions that we may have
leave
made.
their own list as well. So
Leave your own
They
list.
can take the 10 players and put them in a list that is
And
arguably better than
dominate,
ours. I'll be impressed.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's rough.
It's
We'll
tough.
keep an eye in the comments below as to what you guys submit. Don't forget to leave a like as well, and we'll catch you in 2 weekends' time for, I believe, another quiz. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll see you guys in a
See
bit.
you then.